my trust in God. I watched them do work before you ever had a job. And I ain't mad about it, I'm just happy I survived. The coach ain't try to teach you if you know that you ain't live. The struggle was a must and they didn't get it. You wanna be fit, but was you working on your fitness? Can I get a witness? Me and success better have resemblance. Real lion-hearted, I ain't quitting till I finish.
Hi everybody, I'm Michael McMillan. This is I Am Foster, and today we have a special guest, Lily Jane, from the YouTube channel Lily Jane Reacts. Go check it out, you guys. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So let's get into these first couple of questions. At what age did you enter the foster care system?
I'll be completely honest with you. Age at this point has just kind of blurred to me. I don't know ages for any of that stuff anymore, but I could tell you it was 6th grade. I went into the foster care system at 6th grade.
At 6th grade. All right. So, do you remember why you entered the foster care system?
I'll never forget it. So what happened was, it was the day before school started, and my mom overdosed again, and she had a chronic drug problem. And when she overdosed this time, though, her boyfriend wasn't home, and I was the only one home. And I just got off the phone talking to my friend, and I go back to go to the bathroom, and my mom's actually, she's overdosed between the washer and dryer. She's shaking and foaming out the mouth. And it's just like, oh my God, I thought she was dead. I literally thought she was dying in my arms. So I had to call, I had to call the squad and everything. And then her breathing got really slow, and I really thought she was like dead before they got there. And then I remember the squad got there. I walked outside. I called my father, and he was coming to get me. But I just remember the whole neighborhood just like gathering around our trailer and just like watching everything. And I was so embarrassed. I was so angry. And then the next day, my mom got out of the hospital from the overdose. I was with my father. They were separated. And my father knew my mother was threatening me because I called the squad on her for having the overdose. And he wanted to get a restraining order against my mom because he was worried about my safety. Well, my mom was mad that my dad had me, so she wanted to get a restraining order against him. I'm not even kidding. Like, this is God's honest truth. We go to the courthouse with my father, and as we're walking in, my mom is walking out. The courthouse is like, what is going on? Why are two parents putting restraining orders against each other? Something isn't right here. Then about 10 minutes passed, my dad walked back out of the little office area, and a lady came over to me and told me, you need to come with me, we need to have a conversation. And she interviewed me, and then that night, we went to my mom's house, and I went to go stay at my first respite care.
So, with all that being said, do you remember like how that affected you? Like
Oh,
how,
absolutely, because
like
it still affects me
emotion-wise?
to this day. Yep. I actually have complex post-traumatic stress disorder and regular post-traumatic stress disorder and manic depression. And I live down in Florida, and there's a lot of drug activity in here. And just in the past 6 months, I've seen someone overdose at a gas station, just standing 10 feet away from me. And then while I was actually at work, one of my coworkers OD'd on the floor. And with both of those things happening, my post-traumatic stress disorder was like, I thought I would never see someone overdose ever again in my life. Seeing those two things brought so much of my trauma back, it hurt. So then constantly, every time I closed my eyes, I'd see her again, just gasping and just trying, cling for her life. And it's just, yeah, it affects me all the time. I'll never forget it.
My mother was on drugs too. Well, she still
Really?
is on drugs, yeah. It went to so bad that my mom, twice, not once, but twice, she didn't even know who I was.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that had to be heartbreaking. Well, my mom,
Twice.
she's deceased now. She died of cancer. Ironically, that one kind of surprised me a lot. But beforehand, when she was on drugs and stuff, I always thought that was gonna kill her. They put her on these like one drugs before she like died of cancer, and she was like super delusional, and she didn't remember who I was either. So I know exactly what you're talking about. That is so confusing, and it hurts so much. Like, at least it did for me. No, you're
Um,
totally.
what advice can you give kids to help them deal with those same emotions that you felt?
Find a teacher. I know that sounds strange, and a lot of people will say, go to your friends, but I'm telling you, a teacher is what helped me get through school the whole time. You can talk to them and they'll understand, and you'll just be surprised at how compassionate people truly are for you, and they're on your side, because I constantly thought nobody was on my side and no one understood me. Started talking to my teachers, before you know it, I felt like I had a best friend, you know?
Yeah. So give us two stories that you'll never forget about the system, not group homes or foster care, but just the overall system of you being placed in there.
Um, I'll do one positive and one negative.
Yes, ma'am.
When you talk about the system, are you talking about just like social workers and like your experience with them?
I'm talking like any type of, like, from dealing with social workers, judges, casas, um, just not living in the group home per se yet, or
Okay,
living in
okay,
foster care home yet, per se yet. Like, just the way
okay.
they handled, you felt like they handled your overall situation.
Oh, they handled it horribly. That's another thing I won't forget. So, the family that ended up adopting me, I was fortunate enough. I never had to go to a group home. I've only been in foster homes. But the family that did adopt me, they were given three more foster kids. And I remember when I was going through my foster care with them and like seeing my parents and everything with the social workers. Anytime there'd be an issue with my parents, they would just be like, "Oh well, you'll get another chance another day." But then when we had other foster kids around, it would be like, because they were younger, they deserved to see their parents more. So then they'd make arrangements to get the parents picked up, get food paid for them, all these other things. And I was just like, I'm so confused. Why does everyone else get help to get their parents, but I don't? Like, what did I do different to not deserve to have these opportunities? And then, so that's the negative one. But then the positive one is, there was this one social worker. She would come pick me up from school, and she would take me to my visits to see my parents. And when she would pick me up, I always remember her talking to me. She was going to art school, and she really wanted to be an art teacher. And every time she would talk to me, she would just tell me like how things are going to get better, and that like being creative is a good outlet, you know. And she just inspired me constantly. And she ended up actually being an art teacher and left the foster care system, and she actually works at the high school I used to go to now.
That's actually pretty dope. That's dope. That goes through the same thing as how I said, like, most kids just people need someone to show interest.
Mhm.
You know, just
Absolutely.
one
I
person
agree with
just to
that.
show interest in them. You know, like, show them that you love them. With all that being said, do you remember how many foster homes you went to?
Yeah, I remember exactly. So the first one I went to was a respite care where you stay there for 2 weeks. And then, I mean, yeah, the first one was respite. The second one was an attempt at kinship care. And then the last one I went to was the foster home that actually adopted me. But kinship care is where you go to your family's house or
Hmm.
like a relative or something. And this is something I will never ever forgive Children's Services for till I die. They put me in a kinship care with one of my old school teachers from elementary school. And I came from like the low of the low poverty. Like, I'd have like water in my cereal type of thing, and like dirty house, trailer, the whole nine yards. My teacher that was taking me for kinship care, she had like $1 million house. She lived on the lake. She had everything she could ever want. And to me, my whole life, I was taught, a lot of those people got handed those things. So it was very confusing to me to go into this new environment. And the teacher didn't know how to handle having a foster kid either. She treated me so poorly, and I'll just never, ever, ever forget it. She like sat on the floor crying, asking why God did this to her. And I was like, I am just a kid. I just got here. Like, why are you doing this to me, you know?
But why was she asked to be a part of kinship care if she didn't know?
Exactly. That's the part I do not understand to this single day. I do not understand. She reached out when I was younger to help my family with some Christmas gifts, but other than that, she didn't really play a role into my life. My parents, like my mom, all of her family was deceased. On my dad's side, everyone was drug addicts, so they were like, okay, well, we're gonna just try and put you here, even though Paula was never my family, ever. So I don't know why they did it, and it makes me so angry to this day, because like that's where a lot of like my trauma started, because she just did not know how to treat someone that was below her.
Yeah, I don't get that.
No, I will never ever ever forget it ever.
All right, so out of all that, you'll say the family that adopted you was your favorite place that you've been to?
I mean, my adopted parents, they are good people. We have we've had a few disagreements here and there. They actually ended up separating right after they adopted me. So there's a little bit resent here and there, but me and my foster mom are on good terms. We talk about once a week on the phone, and then my adopted dad, he has extreme health problems, so he's constantly having surgery. He just had a triple bypass. He's just not in good health, so we don't communicate much.
Okay. So with that being said, with everything, with us knowing about your foster homes and kinship care, how would you rate your overall experience?
That's kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie, because there is just so many pieces that play into it. I would probably give it like a scale of 1 to 10, like a 3. The only reason I'm even giving it a 3 is because Steve and Cheryl, my adoptive parents, they put a roof over my head and did take care of me at the necessary times and tried to look out for my interests when they could. So for that reason, I'll give it a 3. But other than that, I don't wish it upon my worst enemy.
What do you think? What do you think they can do better?
What they could do better is to actually get involved. Like, as a social worker, when my social worker would come for visits or whatever, they'd come like once every 4 months, and they wouldn't really even talk to me. They would just kind of just sit there. They didn't really evaluate the home, nothing like that. So I constantly felt like there was a disconnect for me and my social workers. And then I also felt like there was a disconnect for me and my foster parents too, because I just felt like no one truly understood me until I got into like to counseling. I started to feel understood. So I really feel like that the social system, the foster care / group home system should put more funding into getting counselors for kids, helping them with socializing, just things like that. I needed to be socialized and be in a trusted place where I could talk to people. And if the system gave that to more kids, I feel like it could be more successful. Does that answer the question?
Yes, ma'am. And that goes into like why I made this channel, is because there's a lot, and I'm not trying to blame just social workers. It's just there's a lot of people who don't really care. And this is why I feel like some of these kids aren't getting the right information that they deserve to have.
No.
And I feel like that's what we're going to start doing on this channel, is making sure that they can get this right information, and know that we've all been through it already.
Yes.
We've been through it, you guys. We grew past it. We moved on with life, and now we're trying to get back to you guys. So we just want you guys to know that. Give us 2 stories that you'll never forget about living in foster home.
Okay, I'll tell you guys the one of my first Christmas as a foster kid. It was the best feeling in my entire life. I remember waking up, when I was in my bio home before foster care. My mom always did Christmas on Christmas Eve, and she would just go all out, man, like just full on. And she'd do everything she can to give me a good Christmas, because that was really important to her. So then my first year in the foster home and Christmas time coming, I was super scared. I was like, this is going to be weird. None of it's going to feel right. Well, anyway, I wake up, and this is the first time I ever opened presents on Christmas Day. So I was already like, whoa, what is this? Normal stuff? So then I was the only foster kid they had at the time, so they kind of spoiled me quite a bit. And then I remember my adoptive parents, their family came over to our house, and me and my cousins, we all sat and played. Well, it was cousins to foster care type of thing.
Yeah.
We all sat and played Xbox together. We played Call of Duty, and like there was no fighting, there was no arguing, there was no drugs. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what normal feels like. This is the best feeling ever. And I just remember my foster parents and or adopted parents, they were so happy to give that to me. And like for like 5 minutes, I felt like I was a part of something and things were gonna be okay, And then I'll do a negative one, since that one was a positive one in the foster care system. Sorry, like I said, I know a lot of my stories are graphic, so I'm just like trying to
that's what we want. That's what we want. Okay. You good.
So when I first got into foster care with her and the kinship thing, I twisted my ankle, and I was like hurt. I was like, oh my goodness, my ankle hurts. And I remember her sitting down and telling me that it didn't really hurt, that I was a hypochondriac and I was just trying to follow my parents' footsteps. And mind you, I was only like 3 weeks in from leaving my parents when this was being told to me. And I was just like, what did you just say to me? You called me a hypochondriac, and I'm like 10 years old. What the hell? Or what?
Yeah, that's nuts.
And then she then she also went on my Facebook page. again, remember how earlier I said she came from privilege and I didn't. Like, I came from down here. So on Facebook and stuff, I was cussing as a kid. I was saying, raunchy things. And I remember her taking everything on my Facebook that she felt was disrespectful, printing them out, putting them in a folder, coming to talk to me about it, but then also showing all of her coworkers to get their opinion too, just to make sure everyone knew what was going on in her household. And then the next day, I had to go and see all those, like, coworkers and know their opinions about me, and I was just so wrecked. I was like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I be a normal person? Why are you doing this to me? It's so bad. Like, I hate that woman with everything I have.
And this was when you were 10 years old?
Yeah, dead ass. I was in 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And she told me too, like, when I first got there, I remember it was Sunday morning. Normal people, in my opinion, sleep in on Sundays. I slept in on Sunday, and she freaked out over me. She was like, no, Sundays, we gotta clean, we gotta do this. I was just, like, so shocked, because, like, I've never had to deal with anything like this before. It was so different for me. I ended up getting moved out of her home because I started going to a counselor, and at that young of an age, I was expressing suicidal thoughts. Like, she had this, where my bedroom was, it was a 2-story bedroom. I would fantasize jumping out the window because of how much I hated her. And I told my counselor that, and that's actually what got me moved.
They call CPS?
They called CPS, and he made arrangements for me to be put in my first foster home.
Okay.
And that's how I met Steve and Cheryl, and they adopted me.
Okay.
But mainly, too, I will say with my adoption process, because I don't want people to get it twisted. My parental rights, like, my mom died and then my dad ran off, so it was just easier for them to adopt me, because at the time I didn't have any, like, ownership. So that's a huge reason why Steve and Cheryl, like, also adopted me.
Yeah, I had the chance to be adopted. Me and my little brother. My little brother is adopted. I'm not. I had the chance to be adopted. Both my parents' rights were taken away. But I chose not to. At the time, I was like 17. I think I was about to turn 18. And then if I would have got adopted, my mom wouldn't have had the money to send me to college.
Oh, wow,
So-
that's definitely a conflict of interest. I can see where
Exactly.
that could be hard there.
So I decided to stay in the system. And then they paid for me to go to college, and I got my degree and everything.
Really?
So I was like,
That's crazy. I
That
didn't know
was
the
a win.
system, like, paid for that or anything like that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of resources I don't even know, being someone that's, aged out of foster care. Like, there's a lot of things I don't even know.
yeah, starting in 2012, it was actually my senior year, off my first episode with my friend Justin. He was a part of a committee that went to, I'm not sure if it goes by state or if it's, because I know in the state of California, he was a part of a committee that went up to the Capitol and talked to the governors and stuff about petitioning about getting a status pass called AB 12, which allows aging out foster youth from the ages of 18 to 21 to either go to school or get a job, but you're still considered foster care. So they actually pay you to go to school or have a job.
Okay, that's actually really neat. That's incredible that that program exists. I mean, I don't think they have anything like that in Ohio. I don't know that much about Florida law, but, like, that's an incredible program. Like, I'm just shocked that exists. That's awesome.
Yeah, they have that in Cali. I know for a fact they have that in Cali because that's how I went to college. They
Awesome.
paid for my books, my dorm rooms before I got kicked out. It's another story. Everything, like everything. I got the Pell Grant and everything still too, and yeah. So my mom, she saved my life and she made me make some tough decisions. But I'm
Well, I
still
mean,
with her to this day. I'm 27.
That's good. That's good that you still have contact with her. I mean, my bio mom is dead, and then my bio father, he just passed away in December, drug related too. And as weird as it sounds, though, it's freeing to know that I don't have that burden on me anymore. As messed up as that sounds, I'm glad everything happened the way it was, and it makes it a little bit easier with them passing, because it just feels like in the back of my mind, it's just, I never can forgive myself for the things that have happened, because I don't know about you with being in the system, but I blame myself constantly like I did something wrong, and it just kind of felt nice to have that burden lifted.
Yep, and that I felt like that for a long time, because I'm not gonna lie, I was a bad kid. I was a bad kid. I did some bad shit, like not as in like bad as in like get in trouble with the law or anything, but just like as a kid getting in trouble in school, fighting cursing, yelling at teachers and stuff like that. Just an angry kid. So I went through so much already. I was just angry.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's how kids work. I mean, people forget that. If there's a kid that's like seriously acting out or being like disinterested and stuff like that, 9 out of 10 times there's probably something going on at home. And I feel like as a teacher or like as like a friend, you should ask that person like, "Hey, are you okay?" Because so many people don't understand too when you're in foster care or I would say group home too. You just look at things differently. You're gonna react to things differently. It's just like you don't grow up in a normal environment, so you're not gonna handle a normal environment like everyone else.
And the thing is that they expect you to handle a normal environment the way everybody else does without giving you any type of information or help on trying to adjust to that normal environment. They throw you straight, like in my case, I got taken out of high school, my freshman year of high school, and thrown into a level 12 lockdown facility.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I never went to no group home, no foster care. No, I mean not a group. I went to a group home, but I never went to no foster care, nothing like that. I went from high school and living with my grandparents to a level 12 facility, locked down, where you can't leave the front gate, and then you're considered AWOL.
Oh my goodness, that is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that just blows my mind because, like, you know, the experience that I've had in foster care differs completely. I know you said you're in a group home, but I mean, I know they're similar in a lot of ways. But, like, I couldn't imagine being on that much security. That's just crazy to me. And then you still went to school and stuff. Like, that's awesome that you still went to college and you're doing the channel and, like, you know, you got through everything. I don't know. I just think it's cool.
No, that's the dope part about it because that's where my mom comes in. You know, my foster mom, who got me when I was 15, she changed my entire I'm not gonna say my entire life, but she changed the way that my entire thought process on everything, on how to interact with certain people, how to not interact with certain people, how to carry myself with respect, how to just how to be a man, pretty much.
Yeah.
And she taught me how to do that. And to this day, I'm 100% grateful and everything. Like I said, we still live together. Like that's
and that's incredible that you have that support system in your life. And that's why sometimes foster care and group homes, I mean, it can be beneficial because sometimes you can meet people that can influence you and help you make decisions that you wouldn't have originally. And my biggest thing is I love to hear other people's story and their viewpoints because you can always learn something new. I learned a lot of like my self-discipline and stuff because my bio mom, she literally pounded in my head that I was going to be successful and I was going to go somewhere in life. And then once I got into, foster care and stuff, I made friends with some of my teachers and they reiterated that idea. So I just kept telling myself that and I started to believe it. It's just all about your viewpoints and what you're allowing to be the main things you think about in your head.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, what did you end up doing after you aged out?
So, it was between the ages of 17 and 18. My adopted mom, like I said, they separated. My parents did. My adopted mom moved down to Florida with her boyfriend, and then my adopted dad, I didn't really have much contact with at the time. I ended up, I started to go to college my junior year of high school instead of, going to my senior year. I just went to college instead.
Okay.
Well, from 18 to 19, I just felt like my life was just a struggle after a struggle, only because I didn't have anyone in my life that was telling me what to do. Now that I'm a little bit older, out of no longer being foster care, I met my husband, and he helped me straighten up my act tremendously, because sometimes you do. As someone that's been through so much, you need a little bit of discipline in your life and someone has to be like a good voice, because I felt like I was starting to go down a bad path when I first aged out, because I just felt invincible because I didn't have the control anymore, because my adopted parents, they were both like very, very strict. So I just felt like there was always a chain on me and I just wanted to break free. But after that, now that I finally calmed down, I got married and all that good jazz, I think I'm doing pretty well as a foster kid out of it.
I got you. So what advice would you give kids aging out right now?
My advice would be is focus on either college or a trade. Like, seriously think about that. And then reflect on your situation about all the things you didn't like about it. And I want you to write those down, because you need to remember those are the things you don't want to repeat in your life. My biggest thing was I didn't want to be like my parents. Like, I didn't want to be an addict. Like, I hated drugs. The only thing like I'm cool with is cannabis, because medical marijuana has been proven to help with like PTSD, depression, everything. I'm actually a medical marijuana patient. But other than that, I feel like you should be aware of the things that bother you, the things you don't want to happen in your life, and try and focus on some type of career path for yourself so you can set yourself up for success.
Okay. Um, we know growing up in foster care is hard, and it's really hard to get close to people. How would you get kids to start trusting?
See, that question, that one's hard for me to answer because I'm only 22. And to be completely honest with you, I don't think I've learned how to trust people yet. I don't think I could answer that one correctly because I still don't know. The only people that I did trust in my life when I was younger and in high school and stuff was teachers. And the reason I trusted them is because I knew the information would go no further than them. That's why I say talk to teachers, because when you talk to your friends, they're going to gossip about you. They're going to make fun of you behind your back. But that teacher, they're not going to tell anyone, and it's going to stay between you two. So I guess if I had to say, if you're going to trust someone that's not going to tell tons of people. That'd be my advice, because like I said, I'm not anywhere close to trusting people yet.
Hey, and that's 100% fine because I'm still learning myself. I'm still learning. And that goes to tell you guys that you guys, like, for the kids who are listening, young adults, or even adults, you are not going to get it, like, right off the bat. You know, it comes with patience, it comes with understanding. And then really understanding who you are and forgive yourself and forgive the people who actually did the stuff to you that makes you feel the way that you're feeling. So just give it time. Eventually it's going to happen. We both, like, she's 22, I'm 27, and we still are figuring everything out. So it will come eventually. Would you recommend kids going to college? Like an overall experience?
Absolutely. The reason I say that is screw society and what they think of foster kids. You yourself are a great person. You deserve an education. You deserve a happy life no matter what has happened to you. Screw the past. The past does not matter. The only thing that matters is the present and where you're going. I mean, like I told you guys, I have literally 2 forms of post-traumatic stress disorder, and I deal with that shit every day. Like the main reason I became a YouTuber too is because I can't work a normal job. It just, like, I can't function like a normal person in a normal environment, like we talked about earlier. But you know what I did? I figured out how to make it work because I know I'm going to be successful, and you guys can too. Maybe it's not college, maybe it's a trade school, maybe you become a freelancer. Whatever you do though, just put all you got into it and just make a career out of it. That's all I gotta say.
That's dope, because that's one thing I would reiterate too, is that college was probably the funnest experience that I've ever had in my life. So I will say that too.
Well, I mean, I get it too, because like I'm in college right now as we speak. I'm getting a certificate, and then after that I'm going to get my bachelor's in advertising. So like I get it. It took me, I was in college when I was in high school, okay guys, but technically, if we want to get real about it, I didn't have enough money to keep going, and that's why I dropped out of college the first time. Now that I'm older, I re-enrolled, I think it was last July. I was 21 years old, and I constantly sat there. I'm like, am I too old to go back to school? Like, is this weird for me? It's not. It's never too late. Just because your journey starts a little bit later doesn't mean it's not supposed to happen. It doesn't matter what age you are, you're allowed to go back to school.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Go to school, y'all.
Yep.
All right, so off of that, how can we steer kids in a direction of doing things positive rather than them going back to what they already know, whether it's the streets or back to family who are no good or back to just not doing anything with themselves? How can we get them to go into that opposite direction?
I think it starts by figuring out yourself first. As confusing as it is in your teenage years with all your hormones raging, you definitely do need to figure it out. So I definitely recommend reading a lot of self-help books, or do personality quizzes, or just talk to people sometimes and just truly find out who you are. Because once you figure out yourself and you have confidence in yourself, you're going to be unstoppable. So with that, that's just like the main thing I believe in, just really getting to know yourself. Self-help books have taught me so much about myself because they're brutally honest and make you look at things in a way you normally wouldn't. And you have to be real with yourself, and then you see your own weaknesses, and then you know what to work on. So I definitely recommend just reading like crazy.
Okay, that's dope. All right, that's the first time I heard that. You already like you said that it still kind of messes with you a little bit now that you're still 22, but do you allow your childhood trauma to...
Now, see, that's another one that's hard because, like I said, how you said a little bit, that would be an understatement to say it affected me a little bit. It affects me a lot of it.
Oh, like
Like just
right now
doing
still?
yeah,
It's still
yep,
okay, okay, okay.
yep, 100%. Because, like I said, working in a normal job environment, because of my PTSD from everything that I went through, I had to deal with tons of mental manipulation. So anytime something that was said nice, there was definitely something behind it. You didn't know what was coming next. So for that reason, anytime someone talks to me, even if they say oh, I like your dress, or like you did a good job today on the phones, I never believe them because I'm like, they're only telling me that to get my guard down because they're gonna hurt me.
There's
And
always
like
an
I thought that
alternative motive.
yeah, exactly, at all times. And for that reason, it's extremely hard for me to interact with people, but because of my PTSD, I can never turn off the flight or fight reaction in my brain. So if I'm talking to normal people like in a room and stuff, if I'm not comfortable with you, I'll be so sweaty, it'll be down like my whole arms, and like I'll start shaking. Yeah, oh no, it's horrible. It's so embarrassing. And I can't work because of it, because I just turned into a mess. And all I just gotta say is like, I don't let the trauma control me, but there's some things that are a little bit out of my reach when it comes to mental illness. And that's something people don't like to talk about with foster kids either. When you age out, you might have a mental illness, but you can go to a counselor and you can find solutions. I went to a counselor and he helped me figure out what solutions worked for me, and I apply them now in my life. And I know I'm not my trauma, but it does affect me still. Sorry if that's not the best answer, but I'm just
No,
being honest.
that's what we want. 100% honesty.
Mhm.
I can say the same. Like I'm still dealing with a lot of trauma that I faced when I was a kid that I still got to get over. Um,
Mhm.
and I can't for some reason I can't.
Well,
Um,
it's just society says that because so much time has passed that it's not allowed to affect you anymore. And as in the words of Juice World, you might time will heal the wound, but it's gonna leave a really nasty scar, and that's the truth. But just as adults, you get told you're not supposed to talk about your childhood and all these experiences. But several artists, several authors, even our TV shows and movies talk about childhood trauma and how much it affected them. But it's okay in the movies, but it's not okay in
okay, in
real
real
life.
life,
You know what I mean? So let's be real about it. We're going to have a little bit of problems, but as long as we work together to make ourselves better and try to get through it, that's what counts.
I just feel like people don't like having the uncomfortable conversation
Oh,
when
hell
it
no. They
comes to
hate
real
it.
life.
They do not know how to take it because a lot of these stories are so uncomfortable. Not, I shouldn't even say uncomfortable. They're unnerving because it's not something you would typically hear. So therefore, they don't want to deal with it because they just don't know how to react. And because when people can't understand things, they're just going to hate things. That is one thing I have learned throughout life. If you cannot understand it, you're going to belittle it, you're going to hate it, and you're just going to want it out of your face.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's why I say, too, talk to your trauma about people that you know actually care, like a counselor. I don't really want to say a parent because sometimes parents can get, rubbed the wrong way when you talk about certain things, and then they're not going to understand. They could retaliate against you. But a teacher or a counselor, though, they're going to have to take a minute and understand. They can't yell at you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I got you. I got you. So, shit, you already answered the second question when it goes to
Oh,
that
I'm
too.
sorry.
No problem. You're all good. So now we're gonna go into the section about you. What are you doing now?
Me personally, I am an entrepreneur through and through. I am going to college, like I said, for social media analytics and/or content creation. I run my YouTube channel, Lily Jane Reacts, and it allows me to, have a normal schedule because with PTSD too, I can't sleep like a normal person without my prescription through medical cannabis. Like I can't sleep at all because my nightmares get way too bad, and I can only sleep for a few hours at a time. So like me doing my YouTube channel allowed me to, prosper in the way that works for me.
Hmm.
So that's what I do now. I love my YouTube channel. Music's everything to me. Like, it actually helps me feel things because of post-traumatic stress disorder. It basically like wears out your dopamine factors, and it's hard for you to feel happy when something happens for you. It's really hard to feel it. So with music, though, I don't know why, but I think it's a lot to do with because the whole time I was in foster care, I listened to music every single day to keep me happy and to keep like good thoughts in my head. But for that reason, music makes me feel like the actual emotion of happiness. So that's why I dedicated my life to start doing YouTube now. And then I'm also an entrepreneur. I have my own clothing line. It's a cannabis clothing line where everything's just filled with like marijuana leaves. I know that's not like the best thing,
No,
but like I said,
hey,
I believe in medical marijuana because you guys, if you have a counselor or a therapist or something and they want to put you on antidepressants and you have medical marijuana in your state, please, I'm telling you and begging you, ask them for that instead. Seriously. And I love reacting to music. I listen to stuff like Dax, Tom McDonald, King Von, Hobson, things in that nature. Those are the type of reactions I do. So yeah, guys, seriously, check me out. I promise you'll have a good time.
So you like lyrical rap?
Oh, absolutely. Well, like I said earlier too, I like to break down music because it makes me feel better. When I hear something super motivational, I'm like, okay, bet I can do it. Like if you, I don't know if you know anything about like Dax, the rapper.
Yeah.
Do you know who Dax is?
Yeah.
You know how he was a janitor, right?
Yeah.
So like to be right there, look at how famous he was, but he was a damn janitor. That's why I love music.
Yeah, like Dax. I listen to Dax. I don't say. I'm not gonna say I listen to Dax, but I listened to Dax.
Uh-huh.
I listened to a few of his freestyles that he just put out within the
Mm-hmm.
last like 2 years. So it's actually been pretty good.
Yeah,
I listened to Hobson. I've listened to Hobson since I was 15,
Mm-hmm.
16 years old. I sagged my pants until I love
Oh
Hobson.
my gosh. I just saw the video for that the other day.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding. I watched it. I was like, what in the 2010s? This
Yo,
is so
that's
hard
like
to do.
that's
Like,
like
the
when I
song
was
was great.
15.
The video was great.
That's like when I was 15. Illmind, Hobson, all of them, all the way to what 8 or 9 now.
Yep.
Like that's
Yep, it's
I love Hobson. So I'm with you on all that, all the lyrical, straight up. Like you got Tech Nine on there.
I'm getting. I actually have one of my subs. They've been up my butt. They were like, "You got to get some Tech Nine on there." So yes, Tech Nine is definitely coming in the future. But have you listened to Hobson Bella Ciao?
I have not. Anything newer? Anything newer? I have not listened to yet.
No, you need to go listen to it. I actually have a reaction for it. It is so hype. It gets stuck in your head so easily. But yes, I definitely recommend checking out Bella Ciao by Hobson. It's such a good song.
All right, I'm about to check it out as soon as we're done with this. I'm actually gonna look at your reaction as soon as we're done.
Yeah,
Do it.
it's actually one of my like top 3 trending ones, so you'll probably like it.
Got you. So this is the last question. Last question of the day.
Gotcha.
Who do you want to give your flowers to? People that you
Okay.
helped, people that helped you in where you are today, to get where
My
you are today.
husband, my husband, all the way. He deserves like 12 bouquets because, sorry, like it makes me almost want to cry. He really did. He saved me. he just made me the person I want to be today, and he made me realize how much potential I truly have. After when I said I was 17 to like 18, I just went through such a phase where I was lost. I was so lost. And I did so many things and I hurt so many people, and he just made me realize, like, even though your past wasn't good, your future is going to be worth it. And like, I just want to give all my flowers to him, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing YouTube. I wouldn't be in school. I wouldn't be here, I don't think, sometimes. And the other person I would like to give my flowers to are all my teachers from High Point, because Mr. Robinson and Mr. Gilbert and Mr. Lacker, because they helped me too when I was just like struggling like crazy. They helped me get to nationals for public speaking. They helped me get to state for multimedia marketing. They just pushed me and pushed me and pushed me when I couldn't even like see any potential in myself. So, and then the last set of flowers I'd like to give to are my adoptive parents, because, well, especially my adoptive mom, because she calls me. Even last night, I was freaking out. I felt like my YouTube channel wasn't doing good. I called her and I was like, "Mom, I'm so freaked out. I just want to do really good." And she was there for me. And also my adopted dad too. He can have a flower because he is a good guy and he's there for me too when I need him to be. So I think that's who I'll give my flowers to. Oh, one more, sorry. My mother-in-law and father-in-law, because they're another one too. They have accepted me through all my craziness, through all my outbursts. They still love me like crazy, and I love them, and I'm just so thankful to be accepted into my husband's family. That's everyone that I wanted to thank.
And that's dope. That's dope. What's your husband's name?
My
First name?
husband's name's Zach.
Hey, Zach, man. You're a dope dude, man.
He is. He's so incredible. Well, all I was saying was, me and Zach, we've been married about 3 years now, and in the beginning, I pushed back on a lot of the things he was trying to get me to see, and sometimes I thought he was mean, but in all actuality, he was never being mean. He just wanted me to see my true potential, and once I realized that, I was like, holy shit, this guy's motivating me like crazy, and I'm sitting here trying to work against him. What is this? What's the point of this? And it was just because I had that survivor mentality that everyone's against me, and once I realized he wasn't against me, my whole life changed.
I got you. And that's it. And before we end this out, I want everyone to know, it really, if you look at every video that I posted so far, it really takes one person to really show an interest and show that you love them without any type of alternative motive, that person don't want anything from you, and it's genuinely love. And once that foster kid or group home kid or any kid that's placed in the system that have doubts of love, or doubt of who to trust or anything, once they see that and really trust that inside of you, then they'll begin to trust you, understand you, and want to listen to what you have to say. So with that being said, I'm Michael McMillan. This is Lily Jane, and this is I Am Foster, and I appreciate all you guys for coming on.